Hi everybody, welcome to math. Today we are going to be finding the volume and surface area of prisms and cylinders. Today actually we're only going to be working with cylinders just to get us started, and tomorrow we'll build upon cylinders and include prisms. Now the formula we're using only works on prisms and cylinders because it has to have two bases. So two bases that are exactly the same. This formula will work on cylinders and prisms that have two bases that are exactly the same. So to be ready, you need to have a few colored pencils, calculator, a pencil, and then a class handout. If you don't have a class handout, feel free just to take notes on paper. So a reminder that volume is the amount of 3D space an object holds or takes up. So when you're labeling volume, V for volume, and then you always have cubic units, V always has a 3. Surface area has that special word area. Surface area is the amount of surface, the area of all the surfaces combined or added together. Area is always measured in 2 dimensions, so area is always squared. So today we're finding volume and surface area. So find this problem, and if you don't have the handout, just take notes on a piece of paper. We've already done this, so this should be a little bit of a review. But volume, you need to find first big B, that's the area of the base, and the base is always 2 identicals, so you're looking for the shape that has 2 identical sides. So we're going to use the circle. So to find big B, we need to find the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. Pause the video, and when you're done, you will find base. So before I could find the area of the base, I first needed to find the radius. So I took the diameter and divided it in half, or multiplied by 0.5. So 2 squared is the same as 2 times 2 is how I got 4. 3.14 times 4 is 12.56. And then it's the area of the base, so I needed to make sure to label it in square units. Now I need to find the height. The height is a number that I haven't used yet, and the height is given to me right here. It says the height is 13 units. So I label it in units just because it's one-dimensional. And then to find the volume, I write the formula V equals big B times H. I substitute my answer for big B in. I get 12.56. This is work showing substitution. Then I substitute the 13 in for height. I grab my calculator and pause the video and see if you get the label right as well. Alright, how'd you do? So your final answer, the volume would be 163 and 2800 units cubed. Now that same problem now has a surface area. Now surface area, this is a new formula for you. SA stands for surface area. P is the perimeter of the base. H is the height, the number that hasn't been used, and then you add 2 bases. So if you're thinking about this, if you took both bases and found the area, all you'd have to do left is find the perimeter of the base and multiply it by the height to get the side. So that's what we're going to do using this formula. So we already found big B in the last problem to be 12.56. If you forgot, you can certainly start from scratch and get 3.14 times 2 squared, 3.14 times 4. So the base would be 12.56 units squared. We already found that in the previous problem, but this is the more difficult part. The perimeter. So now I have to think of my base shape. My base is a circle, and to find the perimeter of a circle, I have to use circumference. And circumference is pi times d. If this gets you messed up, you could also use a c. I like using the p because then when I substitute, I know exactly where it goes. So my perimeter of my base is going to be 3.14 times my diameter of 4. So you go to your calculator, or you could do this in your head. Maybe some of you get 12.56, and this is just normal units. So now you have big B, and you have the perimeter. The height is a number that you haven't used yet, and you found it the same way as you found volume. The height here is 13 units, and now all you have to do is show substitution. So you write surface area is perimeter times height plus 2 times the area of the base. You might also see it on the MCAs looking like this. It's the same formula using the commutative property of addition if it's written like that. We're going to write it like this today is because that's how I formulated it out for you. So I plug in my perimeter right there. Put 12.56. Put a multiplication sign because multiplied by the height of 13. Plus, this plus sign is really important because you're adding the other areas to bases. And this is why it only works for prisms and cylinders, because they're the only ones that have two bases that are identical. So if you're nervous about your calculating, you could do this separate, and that's separate, then add your answers together. Or you can plug it right in to your calculator. As long as you hit the right buttons, you will be successful. And pause and see if you get the right answer. So when you're done, you get a combined surface area, the area of all the surfaces. So you have two bases. And then if you unfolded this, it would make a rectangle. So the perimeter of the base times the height, you get a total surface area of 188 4/10 square units. Let's try another problem. So the volume here is the area of the base times the height. Pause the video and see if you can find big B. So before I started, I found the radius by taking my diameter of 2 and divide it in half. So I got a radius of 1 unit. So when I substituted the radius in, 3.14 times 1 squared, that meant 3.14 times 1 times 1. So I got my big B, my base, the area of the base, to be 3 and 1400ths units squared. Now to find the height is when I isolate for the height, it's the number that hasn't been used, and it's already given to me here of being 9. I just need to add a label of units. Pause the video and start and find the entire volume of the cylinder. So I found the volume to be 28 and 2600ths cubic units. So it's the same shape, but now we're going to find the surface area. We already found the big B in the previous problem, but if you need to do it again, this is a good review. Pi r squared. I'm just going to do it a little bit quickly here. 3.14 times 1 squared. So my big base, again, was 3.14 units squared. And you already had that written down, so you can just substitute that in. My perimeter is a circumference because, again, my base is a circle. So to find the distance around the outside, I use the circumference formula, which is C equals pi times d. You can write the C if you'd like. I just prefer writing the P because the P matches the formula. So I do 3.14 times 2. And when you calculate that, you get an answer of 6.28. And it's just plain units because it's just the perimeter. So now I want you to pause the video and see if you can substitute in just for the formula. Before I could substitute, I also needed to write down my height. My height is the number that hasn't been used yet, and the height is 9. So when I plug it in, the P for perimeter goes in right here, so I plug that in here. The height is 9 units. I plug that in here. Make sure to write a plus sign. 2 times the area of the base, because I have two bases. And you can pause the video, and your final answer is 62.8 units. And then I'm going to square it because it's area. Surface area still has that capital A. So whenever you have a capital A, you want to make sure your area is squared. Here's another example. Pause the video and see if you can find the volume all on your own. So for this problem again, I want to find my base. My base is the two faces that are identical. So my base is a circle, so I need to ask myself, how do I find the area of a circle? And I have the formula A equals pi r squared for finding the area of a circle. So I found my radius is 1. So if you look at mine, I made a total mistake. I'm going to pause the video and fix that. Alright, that was a definitely teachable moment. I divided my radius in half, which is a no-no because my radius is already there. I just assumed it would be diameter like the last one. But that's my radius already, so when I plug in the r, it's already there as a 1, so my base would be 3.14 units squared. My height is a number that hasn't been used yet, and the height is 14. So when I found my volume, I get 43.96 units cubed. I'm going to use that volume again when I go to surface area. Again, surface area is just the area that it takes to wrap it all up. So my base was 43.96 units squared. I need to find the perimeter, which is the circumference, so I'm going to use pi times diameter. So I need a double, in this case, my radius. So 1 times 2 is 2. So when you take 3.14 on your calculator times 2, or if you can just double it in your head, you get 6.28 units. Pause the video and see, after you find the height here of being 14 units, if you can correctly substitute it into the surface area formula of perimeter times height plus 2 times the area of the base. So in this case, my perimeter was 6.28 multiplied by my height plus 2 times the area of the base. I got a final surface area of 175.84 square units. Pause the video and find the volume on your own of this new shape. So when you're done calculating your volume, you should get 339 and 12/100 cubic units. Okay, we're going to use this base, so please make sure you keep that number in mind for the surface area. Pause and see if you can find the surface area. So the area of the base we'd found on the previous slide with volume 28.26 units. My height is already given to us of 12 units, so all I had to do is determine the circumference or the perimeter of the circle using pi times diameter. 3.14 times the diameter of 6 gets you 18.84 units. I paused and I wrote down the formula, and then I substituted in the perimeter of 18.84 times the height of 12, adding both the bases, 2 times big B. And I got a final surface area of 282 and 6/10 square units. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Remember to show all the formulas and substitutions in your work, and please ask for help when you need it. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Ciao.